I'm Tom King, and this is 4K Skywatching Podcast.
Red alert!
Good evening. I'm Tom King. This is the 4K Skywatching Podcast. It's Friday night. The hell's the date today? March 21st, 2025. It's going to be an interesting show. Change format a little bit. We got a few things here to talk about. Good to see people back. This is another show that's going to have some footage. So the footage is going to be at the end. This is an update about this massive radar undertaking. So we're going to get into that first. Let's see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into the radar update. Later in the show, we're going to get into Stephen Greer and his endless lies. After that, we're going to get into some blue orbs, some video of that, and then something I came up with called the Barone technique. So that's going to come in last. I was going to be streaming on Twitch. I probably fucked that up. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Primary goal here is streaming on YouTube. So let's see if I got the chat working here. So let me just open this up. I did get some new glasses. I don't know if they're going to help at all. So we'll see. So let's get the chat. I guess that one. All right. Had a couple of chats here. So, all right. The overlay's going. Hey, Tommy, Tom, how you doing? I think I've seen you on Twitter. If you're the right one, I'm thinking about. Mr. Bubbles on here. How you doing? I've had that problem with the Thomas Fessler show. It used to give me notifications and then it stopped. So anyway, so let me get to a few things here. Make sure that's working. So a couple of things. Turned off, and I have some clips here. Not working. All right, doesn't matter. I have some stuff that we're going to get into where Stephen Greer brought up the Phoenix Lights, and he just, God damn, did that guy just lay on the lies. He just lays that stuff down. Oh, there we go. should turn this on. All right. I'm a skywatcher. That's one of the things that I do. I skywatch. Um, I don't know if anybody out here on Twitter, the Skywatcher team, which is the one that Jake Barber does research on, he has a job application out there. He's hiring for a producer. So I haven't got that done yet. I got to work. I got a job just like anybody else. But I'm close. I got my video reel edited together and got to put together my resume and send that in. Will I get the job? Probably not. One thing, though, is if I get close to getting it, they're going to watch this podcast, right? Because one thing that's very, very important in the UFO community is doing background checks on who the hell you're working with. This community is full of frauds all over the place. Um, I run into them all the time. There is a guy who calls himself Tom King that goes on podcasts. I've seen him around social media. He claims that he saw the Phoenix Lights with his brother, um, the boomerang. He said he climbed a hill and saw the boomerang. I ended up contacting this guy, called him on the phone, and I said, "Your name is Tom King?" So I was vetting this guy. Yeah. I said, "So I want to meet you in person then, see if this is for real, because if there's another guy named Tom King who saw the Phoenix Lights, this is pretty pretty weird." Um, so the guy apparently agreed to it, and I said, "I'm going to need to see your driver's license." And that's when the rubber hit the road. And, I don't have a sound effect for, scratching the record coming off, but that's what happened. And then he said his name isn't Tom King, it's something else. And I said, "What? Why are you going around using my name?" He says, "Your name is my handle." I hung up on the motherfucker. What the? Everybody in this field encounters stupid shit. So look into the background of every single person that's within your group. Because if you got 5 people, one of them's fake. Um, I've had people go out that I know and attempt to buy their way into the UFO field. They go out and say, "Well, what kind of gear do you use, Tom?" And then they go out and buy that gear, and they go, "Now I same as you." Oh, no, 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 you're not the fucking same. Not even close. Because these people don't, well, first of all, I've been doing this for a quarter of a century. Second, I use all this gear, right? You got to take the shit out of the box and put it on the house, and then you got to monitor it. These people don't do that. They think that they have the same material factors, that they are Tom King Jr. or something. Yeah, that's really a turnoff for me. So I am a skywatcher. I'm a UFO researcher. What I'm not is a disclosure chaser. And there's a difference. This podcast is about skywatching. It's about people who record UFOs and ground investigations and whatnot. I'm not chasing the congressional disclosure stuff. I don't give a shit, really. It's good that we have congressmen out there asking questions, but I know the difference of moving the ball forward versus bullshit. And there's a lot of these disclosure chasers who it's like an ambulance chaser, disclosure chasers. They hang on every word the Congress people say. And the current one is Pauline Luna, and she's out there with the Epstein stuff, and I good luck with that. What these people are is basically bench warmers in Congress, where they warm the seat and they make it look like they're doing something. And then 6 months go by, a year goes by, absolutely nothing freaking happens. Or wait a minute, they get a new law passed if that's possible. And then we have the UFO cover up, the people running Area 51, the people running the crash retrieval operation. They're not listening to any of the laws right now. So another law isn't going to mean jack shit. Everything that I've watched from 2020 up to the last 5 years amounted to a hill of beans. Oh, what? They have to write a report? Big fucking deal. Nothing comes to that. What was Arrow? Arrow was a honeypot. It was obvious from the beginning. People go and they talk to the head of Arrow. Then he gets on the phone and says, "Hey, that guy who works for you is a traitor. He's calling our offices, spilling state secrets. You better get this shit under control. You're leaking like a sieve." That's what Arrow was. And there's disclosure chasers that chase the money, they chase the hits, and that's all they give a shit about. And some of them don't want that money trained in because they're making money off it. They say their money goes into ufology. Show me where a penny went, because all I see is car payments and house payments from these people. There's two people that I see that actually put the money back in ufology, and that's Chris Little, and Martin Willis. They actually travel around and do stuff. Everyone else, they're making payments off this shit. So I don't chase the disclosure, and I think the whole Congress thing's a waste of time. In 2015, you will find out that they amounted to basically nothing. I heard lately David Grush gets on a committee. Ooh, cool. Those rocks that move in the fucking desert will move farther down the field than the UFO ball will be pushed by Congress. And I'll tell you, there is a difference in this stuff. Um, Researchers versus disclosure. A ufologist, well, first of all, they read books, right? And um, they go out and they do field investigations. It's not fun work. It's dirty work. It's talking to people. They might focus on different aspects, whether it's ET, interdimensional, ultra dimensional, off world things. They do scientific studies, they write papers, they analyze physical evidence and stuff. A disclosure researcher is kissing the ass of every fucking person in Congress hoping they come on their podcast, right? And they're primarily looking at secrets and bullshit. They're saying they got 30 whistleblowers that'll come any year now. I've been hearing that for 5 years. Focuses on undercovering suppressed technology, whistleblowers, and government. And, you know, nothing comes of that but, some books that most of them don't read. And they work within the framework of activism and Twitter and whatnot. So there's a difference between a ufologist and there's a difference between somebody that's chasing disclosure, chasing the AdSense bucks. And it's out there. It's pretty obvious who these people are. Um, okay, one of them is the guy from the Black Vault. Every single time something comes up, he shoots it down. Why? Because it's his fucking business model to keep this going till his house is paid off, right? Yeah, I think I got the audio down. Can't believe I'm already 16 episodes in. Hey, Paul Demon, the Kiss guy. All right. Hey, Renee, I think your arm should be good. Um, but yeah, there is a difference between disclosure and ufologists. A lot of these podcasters, I never hear them talk about books they read. Never. They go through ChatGPT to find out the summary of the book. And there's Cubert. Hey, Cubert. I used some of the stuff that we learned on IP cameras. Let me get into that. Um, I was a fan of Greenwald, not anymore. When he shot down Lou Elizondo, then I seen the mask come off that guy. Um, he's the gatekeeper, that Greenwald guy. He wants Elizondo to kiss his ring, to come on his podcast. So when Elizondo didn't, then he said, well, we can do this where the easy way or the hard way. You can come on my podcast where I'll make money off of you, or I'll do a podcast shooting you down. Either way, I'm going to tie my hitch to your wagon. I saw that during the Phoenix Lights. All of a sudden, here comes Stephen Greer. Here comes Richard Hoagland. Here comes some other people I'm not going to name because I like them, but they hooked their train onto that because it was popular. When it died down, they found something else to do. So let's just take a look around in the studio here. We have the NVR is up and running. So I did something a little bit different with the thermal camera in the center. What I did was these are all hooked up to an NVR. So the IP addresses of these are 10.1.1. something. and the middle camera was 10.1.1.69. I have photographic memory, so I remember numbers and all kinds of shit. Anyway, I wanted to change the color temperature and to turn it on to rainbow. So that's what I did. I accidentally had these cameras, one of them pointing at the sun. I looked up and I also turned on the temperature of the center camera. It's 140 degrees on these houses over. So I had it pointing at the sun, and I was looking. I said, "Hey, there's something 160 degrees over there, and it's hovering. What's that?" I said, "Oh shit, there it is over there in the corner. See, there's the sun. See that streaking? Don't do that. Don't do that. See that streak over here? I might have just fucked up live. Ooh, no. Hope it goes away. See that streak? That's from the sun. Do not do that. Yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I might have just ruined the thermal camera. Yep, probably fried that baby. It hopefully it goes away, with time. Maybe I can swip that. So yeah, don't. So I gotta check the limit switches, and because I set this up in the wintertime, and I haven't went through a full year. So this summer the sun's gonna be. Hey, it went away. But see that? If you point that at the sun a long time, you're gonna cause burn-in. So expensive lessons learned from Mr. King. Do not point your thermal camera at the sun. Well, don't point yours or anybody's. Not good. So the NVR is up and running. What I did was I switched the center camera out. But normally to do that, you can't access that camera easily on a 10.10 or something. So I hooked it up with the computer, recorded all. That's going to be a different lesson coming up. So let's get into, and also let's go through a few more things here. We got that up and running. We have the radar up and running, and I'm going to get into what's going on with that. That got kind of depressing, to tell you the truth. Um, so let's see. Let's get to our first graphic here. All right, so radar update. Now, I jumped in this feet first. I did some research on radar, of how much it costs. That was about the totalism of what I did for research. Didn't do my due diligence. So I got all this stuff, and I literally, with this radar, have a supply chain of parts coming. I mean, a lot of people have parts coming, or parts. They have stuff coming every day from Amazon, like a box. So I have parts coming all the time for this. I have eBay parts. For instance, this part came in. This is a 5/8 inch loop that has threaded rods. It's stainless steel, so it won't rust. I bought 4 of these. These are fitted exactly around the mast that will bolt into the wood I have bought. Um, so I was buying all this stuff, and then I'm doing my UFO homework when, some of it's reading a book a day, some of it's checking out what my peers are doing. And I'm watching the Tedesco brothers, and they got some really, really good stuff. They've paved the way for a lot of us. They've done a lot of podcasts, so if you see a few of them, you kind of see the footage that goes from podcast to podcast. Uh, so anyway, I'm watching these guys, and they were saying one of the first things, and they got some real good orb footage. They got footage of what looks like orbs becoming drones, orbs interacting with drones, because there's a difference between an orb and a drone. But we also might be at the point where we're watching, George Knapp mentioned this, the U.S. government creates things that mimic UFOs, and UFOs create things that mimic us. So possibly one of the things the government doesn't want to tell us is that these drones, some of them over Jersey, are not ours, they're not Chinese, and they're not Russian. They're NHI is what they're going to call them, imitating our stuff. So if they can imitate a drone, they can imitate an aircraft, a helicopter, a car, a person. That's an avenue they don't want to go down. This is something that the Tedesco brothers, not going that far, but they've got the drones over the water and so forth. Um, they got a lot of good footage. They also worked, I believe, with Abbey Loeb to kind of build this up. So I don't know how much of their funding is them or if they got any funding from Harvard. Harvard has so much money; they have the same amount of money, pretty much, that Warner Brothers does, and Warner Brothers makes, movies and shit. Harvard makes Mark Zuckerberg. So anyway, they have two radars. So I was listening to them. They have one that shoots sideways, and then they have another one that shoots straight up. So that answers the question that people brought up in the chat: is can you take a marine radar and put it on a PTZ and move it around? The answer is going to be yes, because apparently in their belt drives, it's fine. So they have an x-axis and a y-axis, and they said they marry them together, and they can track planes at like 30,000 feet. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm thinking, well, that's what I'm going to do. Then they mentioned that they're the only people that have an FCC license to use marine radar on land, because using marine radar on land, I just recently found out, is not legal. I'm going to say it again. It's illegal. What? So, man, to hear that. What? So I got all this shit, and this is illegal? And so I had to just pause and stop the supply chain coming in and just slow down and figure, what in the hell am I getting myself into? If it's illegal, then I can't do it, because I don't do anything illegal. I'm not the illegal Skywatcher or any of that stuff. Everything I do is regular equipment that any of us can do. And if there's people watching me, and some people are going to copy some of the stuff I'm doing and whatnot, I'm not going to tell you to do illegal stuff. That's wrong. It's unethical, and I don't roll like that. And, Jake and his people were probably watching. If I'm even considered, then they should do a background check and find out everyone you're working with. But anyway, so I'd take a pause. So let me show you where the construction project is right now. So what you're looking at here is 60 bags of Quikrete, 60-pound bags. That's $3,600 or 3,600 pounds of Quikrete. I'm not taking it back to Home Depot. I'm not humping that shit back. My back's already screwed up. I had to go to the chiropractor today. So I'm not taking that back. And then, let's see. Next, this is the 2x10 foundation or forming that I've done. I've dug out quite a bit of dirt there, and I've already dug out a ton of dirt and got the forming up. There's a hole in there you can't see. What's missing is a couple layers of rebar, and the 4x6 is going into this. And then, if you look, you can see I'm taking the nails out of that sheet. So that entire sheet has to come off the wall because the wood's going to tie into it. That sheet is on the other side of this podcast camera. It's going to be almost 100 degrees next week. So when I open that up, this house is already hot because of all these sheets. It's going to be real hot in here. So I got that to consider. So, God, what do you guys think? So it's a debunker watching this is going to say Tom has radar and turn me into the FCC. Now, let's put this out. Nobody has ever been busted in the UFO community for using radar and then get fined by the FCC, because nobody really uses this stuff. It's only pioneers, crazy people, or people have more money and brains use all this. But they have fined a couple of people. Uh, Not ufologists. There was an airport that their airport broke, a small airport, their radar broke. So they said, let's use marine radar. Fuck it. That's crazy, man. They got caught and they got fined. So what they can do is they can levy heavy duty fines on you and confiscate your equipment. All of us have seen drunk people and crazy people go nuts on planes, and the plane has to turn around. It ruins everybody's flight. Well, we've also seen the FAA is coming down on them so hard that they have fines that are going to change their life. They're not going to just write a check and that goes away. They're fucking screwed. So I'm not going to put myself in that position. Um, yeah, burn on screen. Almost broke that, Renee. So I took a week off from, well, I didn't. I stopped the supply chain command and I took a breather. And then I looked into this and decided that the concrete's not going back. The hole's dug. I've ran 24 miles of a marathon. The radar's already paid for. Uh, all I got to do is get the license from the FCC. So at first I thought they're not going to give me a license because I'm in the city. The Tedesco brothers are using this on the beach shooting out into the ocean. So my thinking was they let them use it because they're not really, shooting it towards the city. I don't think this screws anything up. Because like if it did, we'd have plane crashes from boats coming into, next to an airport. Like in Miami, there's a million boats in Miami that all have this and they're using it. But it gets close to land and planes crash. Come on. It's just, I get it. I get it. If you want to go hunting, you get a license. You want to go fishing, you get a license. Can't anything, you get a license. You get a permit. That way there's a little bit of checks and balances. So I started the process. So after some time, I calmed down and said, okay, let's just go through the process. So I'm going to kind of explain um, what this involves. So this involves going to the FCC and getting, Tedesco's are great. I mean, we need like these people in every major city, somebody doing this. This should be what the disclosure chasers are doing. But instead, they're like, yes, Tim Burchett, and what did you say? Fuck what he's got. He's not even on these committees. He has no power to do shit. Nice guy, but he's not going to move the ball forward. Um, it's got to take like a whistleblower to come out with like 100 videos or something, overwhelming evidence. We're not going to get that because what we are getting is piecemeal disclosure, just one video at a time. UFO magazines are great. Some of them, magazines don't really exist anymore. Um, there used to be a UFO magazine, and there was a British guy. God damn, Graham Birdsall, I think was his name. He ran it, and I saw him at UFO Congress in '98, I think, and then he died of an aneurysm. Well, hey, I'll tell you what. If it's not the debunkers that turned me into the FCC, it's the ufologists. They're even worse. You know, um, what's worse is ufologists hate other ufologists, almost like when we get a bunch of women together and they get catty. But it's jealousy. They don't like that somebody has gotten to a level they haven't, or something like it. I don't know. It's screwed up. There's a Jekyll and Hyde factor people have when they're in their car and they get road rage and they get out and they're nice. Well, that happens in ufology. But the Tedesco brothers, we could use a couple of hundred of them all over the place. A lot less people listening to the Congress people, a lot more people doing actual research. Well, I don't know. They could be watching on Team Rewatch. Cement column. No, man, I got that mask. That mask was part of the video that I sent to Jake Barber. But anyway, so that's where we're at with that. So with the FCC, let me look at where we're going here. All right, so we're going to go here next. So with the FCC, this is the process. Um, you're going to go to, this is a document that we're working on, but the same process is done on the FCC website. So I'm just kind of telling you the steps, and it's not too bad. What you have to do is you're going to start out with getting an FRC, which is a federal registration, or an FRN, a federal registration number. And that's just when you sign up to the website for free. They're going to just give you a number that you can use all the time. And it's very convenient because I've been on that website quite a bit. Um, and that was something I wanted to get done this week, but I just ran out of time. So this is a document to walk you through it. So you're going to have to complete this. So you're going to start out with step one, and that is going to be, you're either going to, the first time is you're going to be filing, that's for if anybody here is going to kind of go down the radar avenue. I'm going to give you a tutorial here of what you do. So you're going to go for signing up, and you're going to want to go for a conventional experimental license, not a medical test or compliance or any of that. You're going to go for the experimental, and that's going to be a form 442. It's over here on the side. So, and then you're going to go for a conventional. So, read the yellow highlighted thing. So you're going to apply, and and I'll tell you, have somebody else look this over. Ask Chat GPT what you're doing here, because you don't want to get this wrong. You want to get this right. So there's what they have for the medical testing and whatnot. All right, next step. You're going to go for a new authorization. You probably will not get this done on your first attempt, so then you're going to come back to the second radio option, new authorization, use an existing application. That's where you put your FR, federal registration number, in. So you go, oh, yeah, you're in the system. Let's bring up what you did. So that's the definition right there. And that's your federal FRN, your federal registration number. All right, so then your simple stuff. Simple stuff. Your address, right? And this is all not going to cost you anything yet. This is still the free part. All right, so, and here's the definitions of the mailing address it's asking for. That's going to be straightforward. If you can't figure that out, you should be doing this. All right, here we go. Number 4. I'm going to zoom in here a bit and move this over. Is this authorization to be used for fulfilling a requirement of a government contract with an agency? Now, if your name is Jake Barber and you're a government contractor, you feel yes. If your name is not Jake Barber and you're not a government contractor like all of us other people, you will check no. That's what I did. Number 5, is this authorization to be used for an exclusive purpose of developing radio equipment employed by stations? I'm not going to say the rest. No. 6, is this authorization to be used for providing communications essential to a research project? Radio communication. Now, this is radar. Radar is not communication. We're not doing ham radio stuff. So this one is going to be no. Well, 7 is going to be the tricky one. 7, if all answers from 4, 5, and 6 are no, include an exhibit or narrative statement describing in detail the following items. The complete program of research and experimentation proposed, including description of equipment and theory of operation. B, specific objectives sought to be accomplished. C, how the program of experimentation has reasonable promises for contribution in the development and expansion, or utilization of radio art that is along the lines not already investigated. All right, so that's basically, that's what millennials say, basically, all the time. That's where I'm held up. is on question 7, and here's why. Um, this is what you're going to have to write this up and save your text into a JPEG because the government at this particular instance only accepts JPEG files, which is an image file. So I'm going to have to write up basically the business plan. So I'll redo this. A description of the nature of the research project. To use radar to find anomalous objects in our sky, such as drones, uh, any type of sky debris. I'm not going to say UAP or UFO. Just undetected airborne objects. That's what I'm saying for A. The purpose of this is to find out something that Sky Harbor's radar doesn't, pretty much. And then B, show communication facilities, or what? That's wrong. The specific objectives to be accomplished to find out if we can find them visually and track them on radar. Now, one of the first things that Tedesco Brothers did was all this. They went through this. They got this license. So I'll get into a bit of the details. And then how the program has a reasonable promise. Because the Tedesco Brothers did it. Because they licensed these gentlemen and they got UFOs showing up on their radar system. So I know this can work. And the plan of my science is to repeat what they did, because the hypothesis, part A, is we can pick up UFOs on marine radar. And apparently we can with them. And if I can repeat this, then it's fucking the go-ahead to start using marine radar or get it legalized or some exemption to hunt UFOs with this stuff. So, that's the tricky part, is number 7. Because, let me tell you, after you complete this, then you go to the pay section, where you're going to drop $175. Now, if you screw up section 7, I don't know if you can amend that. I haven't got there yet. So, you got to pay another $175. And keep in mind, this is a limited time. This is one form. And then I think there's a second one, that needs to be filled out. So that said, I took the eye exam about a week ago or two. I finally sent that into LASIK. That's going to take 2 months for them to get back to me because apparently, if everything goes as planned, they're going to fix the cataract under my left eye for free. Now, this FCC thing takes 2 months also to see if they're going to authorize it. So the plan is to send in one to LASIK and one to the government. They both take 2 months to see which bureaucracy comes back faster. Does LASIK work as fast as the government? Is it all bullshit? Yeah, somebody told me to put a small boat in my pool and then use that. I mean, come on, I'm not going to troll these guys. I'm going to be, it's just science. Let's do this on the up and up. If you get cheat, a debunker will turn you in. And a short list of people I know that would do that. Yeah, I looked at the debunker. I looked at the FCC website and said, hey, 1998 called. They want their website back. Surprised it even works. Hey, thanks, Brent. I think first time I've seen you in here. Yeah, Fridays we do a nerd tech session, live Skywatches, and people, if we need some people on. So let me actually slow down and read this. There are no more videos of the boomerang except for Terry, and then the FBI confiscated Richard Curtis's video. It's just a shame, man. It's a shame. You got to think that how many hundreds of videos are actually confiscated by the government? The Phoenix Lights, gun camera footage, the Richard Curtis footage. And then, I don't know if they did this, but all those high rises downtown that have surveillance cameras on it, they take the Phoenix Lights. Sky Harbor Airport has at least 500 cameras in the parking lot. They taped it. The city jail, you can't get close to that without being taped. The FBI building, the courthouse, I can go on and on and on about all these government buildings that have surveillance cameras on 1990s, and the feds could have went and got them all. I don't know how good a footage that would have been. It might have just been might have, thanks. Might have just been some lights. So anyway, 7 is what's holding me up. I got to write that up uh, really good, and that's the part you're going to attach. Because I don't want to screw that up, pay $175, and then say, I got to start over. This is going to take some time. I'm sure the mask is going to be up and running by the time I get a yay or no back. And it's not like I was going to run radar 24/7. It's going to be when I turn the system on and get everything calibrated, make sure the cameras have the proper timestamps and a match, and turn the radar on, get the cosmic watches all working, Geiger counter, all the shit, and then let's do a skywatch, and then once over, power it down. So if you were to add up all those hours over a limited time, it's not a lot, but I have a pretty good shot at filming UFOs because I wasn't born yesterday doing this. So back to this document. I got some fun shit on Richard here coming up after this. Um, so on here, so question 7 is really the one. This is the one where you really got to get into here. Um, And that's the tough one. Okay, for here, what you're going to do is you're going to put in the manufacturer of your radar. So yeah, ChatGPT was really helpful to put because there's some stuff coming that you will not know how to do that you're going to need ChatGPT for. So here's another one. Let's see, 11 or 10. You're going to put that for individual. If you're actually a university, you're going to get approved. So like if Abby Loeb applied for this, he'd get it. He'd get it. There's no doubt because there's stuff on here for research universities. They're not going to turn that down. So anyway, these questions here I wasn't really concerned with. This you put in your name. So all this stuff gets saved. So when I go back, I just put in my federal registration. This is an example of your numbers that you get. So when you're done, we're getting close. There's not too many documents here. Okay, so this is where you register your radar. So this is where you put in your town, your street address, and this is where you're going to put in your longitude and latitude of where your radar is going to be at. I could not figure out what those O's are. I've never done GPS like that. So I put in my GPS. Radius of operation, I put it in 5 miles. You keep that as NAD 83. Okay, and this is asking you if it's directional or beam. Mine is a PON. It's a pulse radar, and it's also an active type. So yeah, so here's where you have an antenna. So I think this is a directional radar that I'm using here. I mean, the radar alone was close to $6,000 for the system. So here, you're going to put in the frequency, and this is stuff you're not going to know. So this is stuff that ChatGPT is helpful with. Your power units, your peak. So I think I put in like 10 gigawatt. Your power, your lower frequency. So lower frequency is 9.4 gig, and pretty good memory. Your upper frequency is 9.4 gigahertz. I think the power was 10 megahertz. The ERP I'm thinking was 10 megahertz. The peak mean I think was also 10. And now this is where I got stuck. I got stuck here because the radar emits stuff, and you have to put these emissions out. So, like with the Tedesco brothers using 2 radars, they would have to put both in here. I think you'd pay just one fee of 175, but they'd have to put the emissions in here. That's why I got stuck because they wouldn't take my emissions. I was clicking on that goddamn thing forever. So this will go through. an example, and then after you're done, you hit accept. Now this is the screen, the final screen. This is the screen where you click to upload a file and see where it says Form 442 Question 7 Experimental Description. It knows you need to do that because it asks. So this is where you're going to upload a JPEG of your description, and then you're done. You are then complete, and and there's your JPEG of your documentation. From there, uh, you're going to go to whether you have to pay. So that is how the FCC licensing step works. So you must go for that. It's not a roadblock, not yet. I don't know. I assume since I'm in the middle of the city, they're going to deny me. But you never know. I mean, if I said I was ASU, they'd probably do it. And there's also, you can use Hacker RF to detect 9.4 and go find who's shooting radar out. There are people who have nothing to do but to go around with radar, passive radar and whatnot, and RF, and find you. And when they find you, they turn you in. That's how they get their kicks off. So that's kind of the owner's manual. Susie here. Hey, yeah, I see here. Um, so that's the process of radar. And let's see if you guys got any questions before I move on to Stephen Greer. God damn, how the hell did I use an hour already? All right. Yeah. So anyway, let's move on to next part of the show. Stephen Greer and his lies. Jesus Christ. This guy, psychopath. But he's fascinating. What's the name of the guy in the bell tower in Texas named James Whitman? You know, the guy who started shooting people that knew something was wrong with him. And then he said, study my brain after I die. I'm fucked up. And they studied his brain and he had a brain tumor. I wonder what the hell's in Stephen Greer's brain just to lie so much, and no one cares. That if you stacked his lies as sheets of paper, it'd be like Mount Everest of bullshit. This guy, this clip that I'm going to play is from a guy on Twitter named Red Panda, and this is an old clip where he takes credit for the Phoenix Lights. He's put out multiple stories, so I'm going to correct the record again tonight, right now. So first, let's get into what Stephen Greer. Hold on, got a few questions before I move into this section. No, I have not been on coast to coast. No. I thought about using the mast. If I can't use the radar, put a camera on there. But that's kind of overkill for a camera. But if I'm going to put the mast there anyway. Another question they ask is how high will your radar be? If it's higher than 6 meters, they want a whole. You opened up a government can of worms you don't want to do. If it's under 6 meters, you're good. This mast can go well over 6 meters, so I will never, this for the record, never operate that over 6 meters. But what Stephen Greer has taught me is just be a bad person and you get ahead. That's how you get ahead. Don't be the nice guy, be the bad guy, because the bad guys get ahead. Hey, Larry. So let's get into this.
For the whole packet of vision to come. And almost every time we've had a significant CE5, it's happened that way. You all have heard of the Phoenix Lights? How many people have heard of that? The thing that, well, most people. You know, in 1997, the Phoenix Lights event happened in Phoenix, all over Arizona, really. And I was there when it happened in March. We were using a digital lab that was actually tied into a covert program, but they were letting me use it. And a picture editor for the BBC was flown in to help me put together this reel of images I've been showing you. And we were doing it to give to members of Congress for the April 1997 briefings in Washington that we were doing for Congress. And so while we're there, while I'm flying in, I'm sitting in my seat, and I'm on a U.S. Airways, I called it U.S. Scareways flight, and U.S. Airways flight, they're now part of American, and we're flying in, and I decided to do the CE5 protocols. And I was told to ask the ETs, so I asked the ETs to do something while I was there that would be unmistakable, that we could get to put on this reel, this video, to give the members of Congress. That was at 5:30 p.m. At 8:30 p.m., the Phoenix Lights happened as a CE5. It was a CE5. And the epicenter where it was right above the lab where I was. And this general, this guy, a former general who worked for Evergreen Transport, a whole bunch of spooks and cutouts for the CIA, came running in. He says, "You wouldn't believe what's going on out there." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I would." And so it was on the news that night, all over in the Phoenix area. Now, of course, once I shared this, the UFO subculture covered it up because they think, it's all, UFO, it's like the nuts and bolts crowd of ufology, because they don't understand interstellar spacecraft are transdimensional, and their craft and everyone on board are wired into this field of unbounded consciousness. So they don't want to hear that there is a way to actually make contact and use these techniques, although they'll admit that the military has remote viewing, but we can't use it. I mean, it's so ridiculous, dysfunctional. So this happened, and it was great because it ended up on the news. We put it on the reel, and we gave it to all these members of Congress. So the Phoenix Lights was an event that was, and I actually saw that event happening that night 3 hours earlier. It'd be interesting to see what a random number generator would have done. By the way, thousands of people saw this. And Dr. Katai, who's a friend of mine, also a medical doctor, filmed it, took pictures of it. And later, a couple hours later, the Air Force put up flares and said it was a National Guard thing. And Fife Symington, the governor of Arizona, did a press conference because there's so many thousands of people who saw it, and had a ridiculous-looking aide come out dressed up as an alien and made fun of it. Later, he admitted that he himself had seen it and that he was very wrong to have ridiculed it and covered it up. And we have him on videotape. By the way, Michael, that needs to be in this movie. And so the movie was coming out in 6 or 7 months. Y'all know about that? Ho, boy, it's going to be 1,000 times bigger than Sirius. So that is exactly how you do it. So you take these techniques that you're learning over last night and today and apply it out in your groups or by yourself for the purpose of making.
Where do I begin? I don't think he told the truth once. Maybe I got to do this in reverse. All right. We know that interview had to take place after 2007 because Fife didn't come forward with this phony lie that he also saw the boomerang. No, he didn't. I already covered that in past podcasts here. Fife didn't see it. But we know that this was in 2007 after that interview. He said a lot of stuff before this too. Actually, the first boomerang, or the first sighting on March 13th, was at 5:30 at Crown King in the daytime. There were 3 boomerangs over this lake. As witness saw them, they compacted themselves into one. He said a jet took off, probably Luke, I guess. Where else would they come from? And the thing shot up in the sky. So that happened before he even did his supposedly CE5. Now, he hasn't done. Why doesn't he do that again? He just did it once. Everything. I'm still going to be who I am. I'm not going to change because that guy's full of shit. But anyway, so nothing he said at all happened like that. It wasn't on the news that night. They didn't know about it till the next night. People called the station, but they didn't have reporters out to do something. And as I said before, they did not interrupt Buffy the Vampire Slayer or ER to tell you that the UFOs was incoming because nobody except Fife said they saw it on TV. So that didn't happen. Here's another one. Village Labs didn't know about it till the next day, so that's another lie. There was no command center at Village Labs that night. There were no generals running in and out. Why the fuck would there be generals at Village Labs? They need tapes copied? There was no covert operations there. What happened was he landed, he went to Village Labs. Me and Bill met him there. Tapes that he needed copied were about done by the time we got there. Then we went out to dinner at the Village Inn. And we invited him to come along to the Skywatch on March 13th. This was March 13th. We invited him to come along because we had an appointment at Steve Blunder's house. He's been filming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and guaranteed Thursday night we're going to see something. He declined. And I won't forget that I was sitting here, and he was sitting to my right, and he did that maneuver that guys do when they're on a date at a movie theater. They yawn. And he put his arms out. And his arm's sitting, my head's sitting here. And I remember he always wears those polo shirts with his muscles and shit. And I thought, hey, I ain't your girlfriend, man. Get your goddamn arm off me. And had to, had to scoot away. That was his left arm. So burned into my memories. He had his arm around me at the Village Inn. And we were at the Village Inn while the boomerang flew over. And we left. We were not at Village Labs while this happened. After that was over, Michael Tanner got in his Cadillac and went home. Then Jim didn't drive. So somebody drove Jim back to Village Labs because most people don't know he didn't have a home. He lived there. So, and you know what? I was at Village Labs recently. Let me show you something.
I am here at what was ground zero from 1995 to about 1998 for UFO investigations. Behind me is the iconic building that was Jim Delatesso's Village Labs. For some reason, a lot of stuff down here in Tempe is named Village. On March 13th, we had dinner at the Village Inn. Driving up here, I see in a Village bowling alley. For some reason, a lot of stuff's here named Village. So parking lot's a little full here. This is what it would look like when people were here for UFO investigations. Typically, there'd be Michael Tanner's baby blue Cadillac, and then over there behind the dumpster was Jim Delatesso had an experimental car sitting back there, the type where the top came up, and it was in disarray. I later heard that Jim didn't have a driver's license and it was suspended. I don't know if that's true or not, but that happens to all of us sometimes. I've been here for about a quarter of a century. I've been here at least 50 times. The building still looks the same. Jim lost this building because Cal Korff and Richard Motzer and Erskine Payton hated him. So they wrote an article to take him down. They tried to have it published in the Arizona Republic, but they didn't want to have nothing to do with it. So they took this weed and hooker magazine called Phoenix New Times. It's what people use here when they're homeless to use as a blanket. And they published it. They also, I think, had a private investigator look into Jim's finances. This building was financed by Hormel Meat. Jordy Hormel, the heir, was writing Jim checks to pay for all this. None of us knew about it, but Phoenix New Times found out about it. They published this. Jordy Hormel's wife said, "You're paying for what?" No. And that's when the checks stopped. Eventually, Jim got evicted. I bought some of his furniture on a fire sale. And yeah, I remember the eviction notice on here. It was a sad day to lose an asset to ufology. I don't know who's in here now. Jim said before this place was locked down by Fort Knox. That's not true. You walked in there, there was a little water fountain there, and you could walk around. Jim lived in there, so he was always deep inside the building. So somebody could, after Tanner unlocked the doors, anybody could walk in. And nobody knew Jim lived in here until the very end. So I'm going to walk up here, and we're going to see what it's like today. So we have a window out. Building looks the same. I've actually filmed UFOs here.
Man, I haven't done that for about 6 months. So what if we did this little scene here where he comes walking up and he's looking up and then he brings the camera up and begins to film it. Like it's right above that tree right there. And you just go like this.
I was in the parking lot doing a film shoot for a show called The Paranormal Borderline, and I looked up and I filmed a UFO, so I missed this place. I really do. Let's see if anybody's here. So let's just say the water fountain is gone. It used to be right there. There's the reception area. Jim lived over in there. Michael Tanner's office was right over to the left. So you could just walk in and shit, nobody ever stole nothing.
So that was Village. What was the Village Labs building? And another interesting thing, there was no sign there that said Village Labs at all. Nothing. The company there now is CS&S Computer System. When I walked in, this guy came out on the top balcony. There's hardly anybody there, so it's kind of like Village Labs. Except for the water fountain, it looks the same. The guy came out and said, "Why are you filming the building?" I mentioned some history of the place. He knew nothing about it. Nothing. He's an Arab guy. He was pretty pissy. So I don't know. There was no covert operations in Village Labs that Jim did. There were no supercomputers in Village Labs. There were 486s and 386s. Same thing that all of us had. They have Pentium 2 processors. Jim said he did. Jim's a friendly guy, but he's full of shit. But not as full of shit as Stephen Greer. I mean, Jim would say stuff like, "I did the special effects for Titanic," and then you roll the credit and you don't see Village Labs or Jim Delattesso. There's no way that Jim Cameron did not credit him if he had anything to do with it. So no generals. It was not a place of operation that night. They didn't know about it until the next day. So, no, everything that Stephen Greer said in that clip in 2007 was inaccurate and not true. And what's sad is he won the game. He won. He's got 800,000 subscribers on his channel. And that's FU money right there. He's got more subscribers than Weaponized, Linda Moulton Howe, Chris Lettle, Martin Willis, and then anybody else who's under them that are UFO disclosure chasers combined. And he never tells the truth. So what kind of education lesson does that give people? Be like him. Don't be a researcher. He's in a different category than UFO researcher disclosure chaser. I don't even know what to label Stephen Greer. He's got so many things that he does that I can't even put a label on him. I don't even know what that is. But he rolls around in UFO cash. Fucking wrong, man. It's just wrong. I can't even imagine the money that person makes on 800,000 subscribers. But that's like Rumsfeld said, and I'm not a fan of Rumsfeld, but you go to war with the army you have, not the army you wish you had. You go skywatching with the gear you have, not the gear you wish you could afford. We're stuck on this planet with these billionaire overlords working for scrap and peanuts, but that's what we got, man. That's what we got. So let's see what we got from the audience here. Did you hear Jim's? No, I didn't. It's good that Jim still. I didn't know there was an event. I don't really what new stuff's coming out. I know Patrick James has a YouTube channel with 100. I don't even know. He's got like 40 videos, 100,000 subscribers. He's doing something on the Phoenix Lights, and he's been working on it for months. I mean, months. So, and he's interviewed Jim, me, Linkatai, a whole bunch of people. It's I don't know when it's coming out. It's supposed to come out on March 13th. It's not out yet. But yeah, he shot this on a cinema type camera and letterbox. So that'll be cool. It does have the potential to be the best documented Phoenix Light, or the best Phoenix Lights documentary that was ever done. And the reason for that is he lives here in town, so he could take his time going back to a person's house, interviewing them, getting a testimony, checking that with another guy. When a big TV crew comes in here, it's weird. They spend like months planning it, and then when it happens, go. Okay, we're done. It's like shit, man. Spread that shit out a little bit. You have a better show. So yeah, that was the lesson on Stephen Greer. He does not tell the truth. If he doesn't tell the truth on Phoenix Lights, I mean, because you don't know if somebody's lying a lot of the times until they move into your lane that you're an expert on, and then you go, aha, I got you now. You went done fucked up. You were talking about something that I really know. And now I go, you're full of shit. George Carlin had a great line where he'd go look at somebody, go, he looks intelligent. He's full of shit. And yeah, that's that guy. And I've seen that with other people too, where you just go, he seems smart or not. All right, so that was Greer. Let's move on to some blue orbs. Some other stuff. I'm busy all the time. I'm either in this lab, expanding this lab, running different experiments on different computers, because some computers get assignments, like some of them might blow something up in 4K, and that could take all night. And if that doesn't work, well, it didn't work. That computer gets a reassignment. Try it again. Try a different engine. There's always something like that going on. I'm investigating a couple different cases of blue orbs. These are tricky. Now, everyone wants like the smoking gun to come out and whatnot. We all do. I think our best chance is with the orbs to make the best scientific case. We want to make the case like with the gimbal or maybe the egg or any of that stuff. But these orbs seem to be out there more. So if we can get a good multiple cases of the blue orbs and put that up, write some scientific papers on this, that we researched this as much as possible. We have eliminated everything that mundane it could be. So the only thing left is UFO. If we can do that case by case by case by case with good footage, then we could bring that to the public and say, look, these orbs are real. Now, this is part of the UFO phenomenon. This is why sometimes it's called phenomenon, not UFO, because there's nothing in there. There's no people in there. But that orb is flying under intelligence. So it's a part of whatever system that the bigger UFOs are, because they kind of go hand in hand.
They seem to have both anti-gravity, their own intelligence, but different blue orbs and different orbs are out there. The blue orb was written in the Skinwalker Ranch um, book that it killed those dogs. So be careful with those. I actually have a video of a blue orb that was shot in Hawaii. I don't even remember the date on this, 1990 something. It's about a 20-minute long video. And this guy's on Oahu, and he puts his camera on a tripod, and he's using something called super night shot, which is like night shot, but it does frame stacking. So it's stacking a bunch of frames to pull the light out of them, and then it gets like 1 to 2 frames per second. So what happens is you can see in total darkness, but it's a little bit jumpy. And he's filming this orb. So most of it's in night vision, so we're basically seeing like that green stuff. But he's filming an orb at ground level, and it's coming up to him. And this guy was so broke that I was sending him money. We didn't do Western Union. I sent him high-8 tapes. I'd go to Best Buy, buy a pack of high-8 tapes, and I'd send it to him, say, fill them up, buddy. So he would, he sent them back. Some of the stuff he filled up was him walking around looking for weed. So remember when I said before, like you watch a tape, you see what they recorded over. Was it a birthday? Because if it's like the guy's kid's birthday, he recorded over that with a UFO. You know he probably didn't hoax it. They recorded over some marijuana stuff he was walking around looking at. These two orbs are walking around back and forth. So after that, I did extensive investigation on that. I started investigating. Actually, the investigation turned from the video to him. I started investigating him. Are you playing me? You know, are you trying to mess with me because I sent you some tapes and now you're trying to send me something back? I couldn't figure this out. The guy's autistic. He can't handle the public. It's hard being. Look at what David Grush goes under. Look at these Lozano being in the big public eye. He could. They go after you, your family, everything. This guy could not handle it. So I gave my word. I'm not releasing it, and I haven't. I've never put it on the internet. People come over to the house, and I tell them, turn off your cameras, and I'll show you the footage. And it's not really smoking gun footage. It's interesting to watch. It was really interesting, especially back in the day. Now we have footage much, much better. I'm going to show you right now. So anyway, when I give someone my word, I keep it. I'm old school. That footage is not going online. If it was, I'd be putting this up saying hit the like button. I ain't like that, man. When I tell somebody, you give me this tape in good confidence, what you tell me, it sticks. This sticks 26 years later. I'm still not releasing his name. So let me show you a couple cases I'm looking at. So moving down on the list, this video was shot last year. It was on trying to remember. I don't know if I asked him, does iPhone 13 or iPhone 14 in 4K? So we have this blue orb hovering 60 foot from the camera. And you can see kind of the hill line over the background. It was shot by Chris Donald. So this video is much better than the Hawaiian video, but it's pretty much the same thing. The Hawaiian video shows basically a blue orb on a grainy night vision, and we are doing our damnedest to figure out what this is, and we don't know what that is. So some of the stuff we do is we go back to the area and we use the same camera and other cameras to see if this blue orb, this is not the only video of the blue orb. It's the best one, though. I took that video. That video I did extensive work on. I took that video, stabilized it, and zoomed in.
on what that is. And what that looks like is kind of mesmerizing when you look at it. Uh, the object is about this big. It's not perfectly round. It's a little bit pill shaped. In the center of the object is something the size of your this thumb, my thumb, and it's white. So the blue, if that's a legitimate UFO blue orb and not man-made or mundane, um, there's a white light in the center, and outside of that white light is the blue electricity that gives it its color. So that it's a mix of a soft white light kind of in the center with a blue electric uh, glow around it. We did our damnedest to replicate it. So uh, some of our crew, like Clive and Dan Starsky, we went out to the property and tried to replicate it. So we've taken a blue light like this, and this isn't too bright for the eye. Let me back up here a little bit. So if I were to kill all these lights, we try to replicate it and try to figure out, was this somebody there? Now, the testimony from Chris was the object went up and flew off. But that part isn't on tape. But the part hovering is pretty interesting. Went out there dressed in all black uh, and used the light. And I have to say that this blue light does look goddamn convincing at a distance. At a distance of, and for some reason, I could not get my rangefinder working that night, but we can look in Google Maps. I think it's a couple of hundred, maybe about 100 meters. This blue light looks pretty convincing. Now up close, blue light. You can, see the rings in there. You can see it's LED. And here's the other thing. We had to try to match the moon because that's very important. So we had to try to match the date. The object was filmed with the same moon because that lighting will affect whether you see a person holding a light. Now, why? Okay, here's another question. Why would somebody be standing in front of this guy's property? Because this would be, somebody wouldn't do this. Why would you walk up to somebody's backyard and just stand there with some light like this? Then what, throw it? Then zoomed off? That could happen. That could be more likely than a UFO. I don't know. But we're trying to exhaust every damn thing we can before we say this is a UFO. And so far, we haven't been able to replicate it. I don't know any other, this is a safety light you can get on Amazon. So we're trying to think of what would somebody have walking around there. So we walked around there. Clive's walked around. I know Chris, that's his property. Me and Dan walked around. There's rocks 1 foot big all over that are boulders. So you can't walk around there at night with this because you're going to trip, stumble, and smack your head open, right? You need basically a very, very powerful light to see where the hell you're going. So this doesn't cut it. You can't walk around there. And not even with the video that we saw, it didn't look like it looked like there was some moon there because you could see the backlight there. But I don't know. That's one of them we're studying. I do know that I remember that Jake and his Skywatcher crew, I think they said a blue light they were going to summon, and a blue light showed up, and I think Ross Coulthart was there. So I would like to see that blue video, when it comes out, and there should have been a lot of witnesses there. I don't know. So this is why I'm making the case of the orbs first. Before we can, as scientists, before we can say that, yeah, these are discs in the sky, which we don't have a lot of really great footage of, let's concentrate on the small things first. Let's do baby steps. Let's go after these smaller units. We're more likely going to get footage of these blue orb type things, or red, or whatever color they are, gold, than we are the saucers, or discs, or eggs. So That's where we're at. That's that's one of the reasons we go up there is we're trying to see if we get lucky. One of the things that happens is every time we go there, we see something, but it's when we get out of the car. Friend Clive, he did a podcast on Science Bob's channel yesterday, and Clive mentioned something that just light bulb went up. When we did that Skywatch with George Knapp for Investigation Alien, when we were setting up the cameras, that's when the UFO showed up. When we had everything operational, then nothing really. It gets dead. So this happens when we go to this other Skywatch too. Before we get everything running, that's when the object shows up. So this is a pattern now. 3 times in a row, went to a Skywatch with Clive, and while we were in, let's say, pre-production, to start rolling, the object comes up. I didn't really link that together with George's because what we did with George was like 18 months ago. It was a long time ago. Yeah, it was a little bit fuller. Um, so I texted these guys and said, you know what? Maybe we should, handicap ourselves and not show up with all this stuff. We show up with, I think Clyde's shooting at 6K. Jesus Christ, the UFO's got to be on a suicide mission to show up in front of that. Hey, Jose's buddy was on here last week, Jeff Ferris. But anyway, two podcasts back. So anyway, if we show up with everything, we have less chance of getting stuff. I mean, think about this for a second. Why in the hell are they going to show up with a battery of cameras and all these sensors? You show up with a, camera with a half-charged battery, you got better chances. So that's the trickster element. Like, they're playing with you. They're going to show up, but they're not going to show up under what you want, your conditions. They're going to show up under ours. There must be some rules, like they doyle it out slowly, like they're rationing out the footage. Yeah, I don't know about fake, but yeah, if you look earlier when I talked about the disclosure chasers, there's it's $1 million business now. Let's keep going forward on the blue stuff. Yeah, I'm subscribed to Weaponized too. So the next blue one is interesting too. This one just came to my attention. It's close. This one was shot by Neil. And yeah, let's just roll a bit of this. So I don't believe there's any sound. So he's filming this object, which it looks blue. It's on a linear trajectory. And then this larger one. And this camera that he has, he flipped it to infrared mode. And then he flipped it back to blue. He does a zoom here. When he does this zoom, this is exactly, it's close, but that is almost just like what it looks like in Chris's footage when I stabilized and zoomed in on it. So that's part of Neil's footage. And whether they're really blue orbs or something, or there's a mundane thing, there's a different underlying importance here. That if you have some good evidence, it's imperative that you come forward with your real name, not a handle, not another fake Tom King, real name, and you go on the record and you say, I filmed that. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is that footage is going to be forgotten down the rabbit hole. It's going to be lost on doom scrolling on some website, right? Now think about this. Remember the case of Lonnie Zamora, the police officer who saw a egg-shaped UFO land? It had a tripod landing gear, landed upright. 2 beans got out. I guess the egg was busted. cracked. So they were checking it for some reason. They saw him, it got in the craft, it took off. He reported this. Then an army of people, I think literally the army came out and they investigated it. They looked at the ground impressions. They might have done, if I remember right, how much the thing might have weighed. All right. Now, he could have kept his mouth shut and went on his way, but he opened his mouth and he went on the official record. And it might have meant nothing back then, but it was a big deal to come out with a stigma. And today, because Lonnie Zamora came out and said what he said, that case is a cornerstone case in ufology. It's one of the pillars that a lot of the disclosure chasers who want disclosure, they don't even know the goddamn history of ufology. You say Lonnie Zamora, they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They don't know who Kenneth Arnold is, but they demand the whistleblowers come out. So because what Lonnie did, now with egg size, we can go back and say this is a credible case because he put his name and his face on the record. And that's the point. That if you have something good, you don't know 50 years in the future what that's going to mean. But by you coming out and putting that on in the official record and stamping that in so it doesn't get lost on the rabbit hole doom scrolling, that might, if we rule everything out, that might become a pillar of ufology someday. You might have what you shot, something very, very important. And I know this all too well because my video has been seen by just about everybody in the world that's watched. Hey, I know people in Turkey who don't speak English that have seen my video. So it's important that if you have good evidence to come forward, put it on the record, and let third parties investigate it, not you, and then see if they can say, hey, I don't know what that is. Because if we can get, let's say, the case with Chris, or this other case with Neil, and maybe other cases that Jake have, or summoning, then we can put together a good case that the blue orbs are a real thing and show case after case after case that was investigated by scientists, and we've ruled out the mundane. The only explanation left is this is some type of ball of energy under intelligent control. It's not ball lightning, is associated with the phenomena. That's why it's very important to go on record. So, what do you guys think? I goes, damn. Yeah. Sometimes you have to take a look at what is it. Does the person just want to know what it is, or do they want to just hear UFO only? Because I find that in every case, there's two camps: validation, or they just want to know. And the validation people are looking for 4 words in their book. If Billy Meyer is still alive, how the hell is that possible? You know, when I was a kid, I saw him and I go, Jesus, he's old. And then I'd look at some of these other people and go, Jesus, he's old. And now I'm old and he's still fucking alive. You know, yeah, I don't know. Jeremy's up and down. We're better off with Jeremy than without him. If we did, I mean, he's obnoxious, yeah. But if we did have Jeremy, we wouldn't have the USO that went in the water. Wouldn't have the harassment drone videos of the green triangle things. Wouldn't have the jellyfish video. Whole bunch of stuff. The Iraq video of the gimbal thing. He at least puts stuff up. No ufologist is perfect, but he's better than nothing. And like Rumsfeld said, you go to ufology with the Jeremy Corbells you have, not the Jeremy Corbells you wish you had. All right, so that is what's going on with the blue orbs. Now, with this camera, a little bit back, Neil listed what he used, and he said that he was using this particular camera. Of course, in Tom King style, I happen to have this motherfucker right here. So, what we have is, this is a funny camera. Another Star Wars, Luke Skywalker type camera. And it's pretty new. So you hold the power button down for a few seconds, let it go, let it turn on. And then over here, now, here we have an $80 night vision device. 80 bucks. That's like 3 Big Macs. Not expensive. Here we have the leading brand, an $800 camera. Binoculars, right? This one costs 10 times more than this one. So I was out skywatching the other night, and here's what I did. I want to find out how this camera works. It's funny because this camera, so you have to have muscle memory when you use your stuff. This camera, to turn it on, is click, click. Click down once, click down twice to turn it on. Then you see that green button, and then pretty soon you're going to get an eye chart. This one you hold down for 3 seconds. All this shit's different. All of them. Fuck, sorry for yelling, but and you really got to know your shit because when something shows up, time is of the essence, man. You got to be fast. So the challenge here is to find out if everything's blue at night. Like, does this film normally? Are we looking at another psionics situation where everything that, like psionics, let me tell you about psionics. Those are crackerjack cameras. They're good for like bears and camping. They are not good for UFOs. What they film is stuff that we can't qualify. We can't compare it to anything. For example, on Thomas Fessler's show, he shows this footage that truck driver Nicky Williams filmed off Highway 8 at a rest stop. He pulled over at a rest stop on Highway 8, and he's seeing some stuff, so he starts filming it, and he gets out of psionics, and he also has a 1 million candlewatt flashlight. So he flashes whatever, and the thing flashes back. What he's looking at is a military operating area, the Barry Goldwater Gunnery Range, NORTAC. And what he's looking at are helicopters flying around. You'll have A-10s with their lights off, and these things are launching flares. You can't tell they're flares because on his video, they're pink. I know, I spent 26 hours working on that goddamn video, stabilizing it. And when I looked at it, I don't know, man. But you know what they are? They're flares. That's what they are. They're flares he filmed. So, is this another psionics case where everything's going to be blue? I'm going to find that out. So, when I do research a case, I will get the exact camera, if possible, the exact unit. I will go out fucking hardcore and find out if that's mundane or not. And I don't know if anybody else goes to this level in doing this type of science that they half-ass it. And, hey, if you buy me a 12-pack, I'll say it's real. I don't work like that. So here's what I did. The other night, took this camera, I put it on a tripod, aimed at the brightest planet we have. I took this camera, the leading brand, I did the same thing. And then a couple things. This has a built-in 5,000 battery. So you charge this with USB, you have a battery. This thing uses CR123 batteries, which are these little small batteries, and they don't last long, and they're expensive. And this thing chews through batteries. So not only is it more expensive, you go through these batteries, man. So I hooked this up with USB to a power pack, right? And I let those run from 10 o'clock at night to 9 o'clock in the morning. So I went out and both of them were there. Thing is stolen. As nobody steals from me. Try breaking in here, you're going to get shot. So they were there, and then I started watching the footage. Now, both of them, I shouldn't be doing, this should be another podcast. Both of them suffer from fine focus, where you're trying to focus on planet to get it in total focus, and it kind of goes out of focus and then in focus and out. You got to find that sweet spot. It's kind of hard. So first night, that one didn't go. The Skywalker camera didn't go too well. But you know what? I'm going to find out maybe $80 is the way to go. This film's in 4K. This film's in, I think, 2K. So I'm going to do a review of that. So I let those go all night. Ray, how good to see you back. So I did a test of that, and I came up with something that my friend does. And I gave it a name. And here it is. It's the Barone technique. It's a technique. It could be, it's not a maneuver. So it's not a way you move. Like the Heimlich maneuver, that's a maneuver. This is a technique. And there was another one, the John Bro technique. The John Bro technique was how I got started skywatching. This is where you aim your camera in the corona of the sun and block the sun with the roof, and then you would use it to backlight the sun. That was the John Bro technique. This one, he don't even know about. I got a technique named after him. And this is how it works. I took 6 hours of night vision video. And I said, well, what's in here? I'm not going to sit here for 6 hours. I got 6 hours. It'll take 6 hours. You need to shorten this up. What you do is you take that, you drop it into your favorite video editor. Some of them will do this, some of them won't. And then I turn that into 6 minutes. So now I can watch the 6 minutes. And I got time-lapse video. So I can take any camera and turn it into a time-lapse. Now, some cameras do time-lapses themselves. For instance, I got a video that shows you how to use a P900 or P1000, what to turn on time-lapse. And what happens is it'll take one frame every, say, 30 seconds. But what happens in between those 30 seconds? You lost it. Not with the Steve Barone technique. With the Steve Barone technique, you film all of it normally, you fast forward and look for anomalies. If you find anomalies, it's time stamped. Now you go to that time stamp and you got 30 frames a second. Fucking genius, right? Mic drop. Fuck yeah, that's the way to do it. Check this out. Do this up. This is the Steve Barone technique. So this is the Luna optics, and these are the stars going by, and you can see some clouds, and you can see that time just running, like, it's flying through this. So this won't take long to find out if there's something there. If there is something there, then you can look down, grab the timestamp, go to the video, and then unpack. Or, it'll be there waiting for you, basically, and then you could have an anomaly. So what I'm doing is I'm looking through here, and there will be some planes that go through, and the planes will just shoot through like a bullet. And you're looking for anything that moves weird. You're looking for something that just shows up. You're looking for something that turns. You're looking for something that's not normal. Satellite behavior, you're looking, anything like that. I don't even have to explain to this audience, because this audience is the smartest one out there. You guys know what you're looking for. So there goes a contrail. So this is the Barone technique. And this is what Steve Barone does. Steve Barone is the skywatcher. He's the best skywatcher I know in Las Vegas. Well, and you know what? He's also the only skywatcher I know in Las Vegas. So, okay, so that makes him the best by default. And he has $1 million view of the Vegas Strip from his house. He can see the Sphere and all that. And unfortunately, he lives in a homeowner association, so he has to abide by the dude and the dude's laws of the homeowner association. So he's limited on stuff he can do. He cannot modify his house like I have. He can't put up a mast. He can't cap his chimney and put all this stuff on it. So he's limited in his options. So he crunches his time. He's retired. And this is kind of what he does. He takes this, there goes something flying by. He takes his camera and he condenses it. And then you could see, okay, after a while you get good. And you say, I know what normal air traffic looks like. I know you can track them on the ADSB, you can track them sometimes on flight radar if you're military. And after a while you get damn good. You see where they take off, where they land, and this becomes a thing. So he has found a lot of stuff doing his own technique, which is crazy. I mean, I don't know if I do anything that should be labeled like a technique or any of that stuff. But yeah, this is how you do it. So this the time here started at and I'm not sure if I got the time, the clock. That's the thing. This is why it goes through batteries on this, because you constantly have, the clock uses up the batteries on this Luna Optics. So yeah, we started at 2:51, and now we rolled in just a couple of minutes up to 7. The date, it's starting to get, the sun's coming up. So yeah, and then I don't know, for some reason I got that packed around, so there we have that. So that's the Steve Barone technique. Congratulations, Steve. I named the technique after you. That's almost better than having a position named after you. Um, so yeah, that's kind of hey William, good to see you. Good to see you. So let me ask you guys a question. Fuck it, 2 hours flew by. Should I move the podcast back an hour because of time, or should I just keep it at 5? I mean, I also started a membership thing. Um, so it's up there. If you see a join button, you can read what it does. I don't have too much on there yet. It's not very much. It's basically if you want to help support what the hell the science is doing over here. I put a method out there. I don't have a Patreon or any of that stuff. So if you want to support the channel, you can look at the join thing. I might add some more stuff. I was considering doing a private Sky watch that if members want to pay for it and come on like a Sunday night, do a Sunday night 4K or something. I'm I'm open for stuff. A lot of it depends on how healthy my wife is doing. You know, her health depends on all this. Because this is something I can do only if she's, she's up and running. Go. She needs me. I gotta go. So that's something I'm considering. I think wasn't it Jay Stratton that changed the term to UAP? It was one of those government guys. Like it wasn't Lou. I think it was Jay. And maybe it's easier to swallow because the terminology changes. When you see something that uses the term flying saucer, I read that the other day where it said somebody's looking for flying saucers in Scottsdale. That's a derogatory name. You know, we don't call trans people transvestites anymore. We change with the times. So when you're calling stuff flying saucers, that's a slur against the field. All right, so yeah, I did do a summoning. I think I told you about that. Something showed up. Might have been a hawk. I don't know. I always default to the safe side unless I've eliminated everything else. Tried a summoning on March 13th. I didn't get anything, but I only tried it once. But why do I have to do it? Doesn't it work where you can summon something somewhere else? Because it's like a UFO pizza. You're ordering it for yourself, or can you order it for another? I don't know how it works. I still am not a believer in the summoning, whatever you want to call it, psionics, channeling, whatever. I want to see it proven first. I guess it's something I'd have to see, and then if it happened in front of me, I'd probably preach, yeah, that's real. Yeah, Steve's a good guy. I haven't heard much. He does post videos all the time. I haven't texted him a couple of months. Yeah, Steve is in a great position. I think we talked about UFODAP, but I don't think he can use it there. It would. I know he'd never be able to put a mast on his house or radar. Radar would be crazy. So That's kind of what I had stacked here. Tomorrow, there's another. God, this fucking money in this shit. Check this out. I'm ready to haul some eggs out of here. The eggs are expensive. So I got this mini egg flying device. This is for a small 3-footer egg. No, actually, this is to get the mast out of my goddamn truck. So, uh, so the project was on life support because I'm going to do this by the book and get FCC approval, or I'm not going to run it. Um, I'm going to end up with the mast anyway, so I'll just, like I said, if you get got a lemon tree, you make some lemonade. So I'm going to be getting the mast out of the truck, getting some rebar hopefully this weekend, and pull part the side of the house off. And I'm dedicated when I'm ripping my house open for the third consecutive year in a row. Who else does shit like this? So yeah, then pour 3.5 tons of concrete and let that sit. And then I even ordered the brass parts that go into the bottom of the mast that plug the air compressor into so you can pump it up. And if that don't work, Jesus Christ, all this work, I could do a lot of work, and it might not work. It could be a total embarrassment. Who knows? But if it is, you'll see it here on the channel. Yeah, just like on my 21st birthday, I was in Sacramento, and I was downtown, and I had this piece of shit. Most of my life, I've been poor. I grew up poor, and I don't consider myself wealthy at all. So I worked my ass off to get where I'm at. And I had this Dodge Datsun pickup, this yellow piece of shit, and it broke down. So I took a mechanic down there, and he helped me carburetor get it running. And then I said, "Oh shit! I locked the keys in the car. We can see them in the ignition." So we're looking at the driver's seat or the driver's side, and we can't. Usually, most of us in California, we can break in a car. We know how to take the clothes. We're born knowing this. Taking a clothes hanger and shoving it down that glass until you hook it. We had no clothes hanger, and the smart guy keeps the clothes hanger inside of his car in the wheel well in case you lose your keys. I wasn't smart. So we're trying to get in the Datsun, piece of shit. The dude goes, "Well, you have no choice. Which window are you going to break?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck. All right, I got to break a window." So I decide if I got to bust a window, there's this small, tiny triangle window. I'll do it on the driver's side so the glass doesn't break all over the driver's seat. It'll be on the passenger seat. So we find a rock. And this is my birthday, and I didn't want to be busting into my own car. So I break the glass up, right? And I go, "Okay, I got it." And then the three of us go, "Hey, you know what? None of us checked to see if the passenger door was locked. That's the side I busted the window on." So I go, and I opened the fucking door, and the car wasn't even locked, and I broke the goddamn window out on my birthday. So that was embarrassing. So I don't want to have the mast installed on 3.5 tons of concrete and it doesn't go up. That motherfucker's going up one way or another. It's not going to be a 22nd birthday thing. That's kind of funny. I look back at it. I think I must have been high on something. I don't know, man. But anyway, hitting 2 hours here. We went through the radar. Is going to be pending FCC approval. I showed you how to get FCC approval. I showed you Stephen Guerrero is still full of shit, but he's probably the richest grifter in ufology. Wow. That 2 blue orb cases we're looking at. Now, both cases complement each other, but that's not how this works. Each case has to stand on its own. So the case Neil has would be great if it works out, but we'll see what happens. That case has to check on its own, and Chris's case has to check on its own. And if both of them, or each one does, it's a good blue orb case. And then this becomes like the next Lonnie Zamora, where it's entered into ufology. And maybe 50 years, hopefully not that long, hopefully a few years, this is helpful to bring about other people who have blue orbs. I know there's a video I shot on Twitter I can't find. It was somewhere between December 9th and 11th of 2024 of a car going towards a blue orb that was over some trees, about 8-minute video. The guy and a girl filming it in the car. They get out of the car, the thing turns into a quadcopter, normal sized quadcopter, but where the camera is a blue orb, and it flies over their head and takes off. That's a damn good video because that shows an orb turn it into something that you can go buy at Best Buy. That's messed up. Because if it's not a quadcopter, it could be anything, right? Could be this thing next to the quadcopter on the shelf. Could be me. Could be that guy with that aircraft comb over in the White House. It could be that Anna Love girl with the hammerhead eyes. Who knows? Who knows? But it's the implications are actually scarier if these things could mimic us, because then we're looking more and more like the thing was a documentary film, like The Abyss was, or a warning. So, Gray Owl, good to see you guys. Hope to see you guys on the next podcast. I got a lot cooking over here. If you guys could find that blue orb video on Twitter, I'd appreciate it, or wherever. Most of the stuff from Twitter ends up on that shit pile called Reddit. Their UFO sub is totally controlled by robots and people out of Eglin Air Force Base. So this has been fun. We'll wrap this up. Thank everybody coming out. We had Gray Owl. Susie's here. Good to see you, Susie. Cheeky bastard. True Seeker was here. I know that. Cassidy, I think you're new to the chat. Mr. Bubbles here. I need to get you on. I'd like to see you on camera sometime. Let's see, Paul the Kiss Guy. Paul, I see a lot of you guys around a lot of the other podcasts and whatnot. Let's see what's here. Uncle Dave's Kitchen. Now, the orb colors, what I plan to do with that is once we get one, if we can get one that's ruled out everything with science, then we're going to take multiple frame captures of it and get the RGB values of it, the red, blue, and green, or the hex, and then compare that against any incoming blue orb. See, one of the problems is devices like this don't always, well, I'm going to test it, but if this thing films blue all the time, and this thing films color, but you need this, we can't really depend upon those colors to be exact. We could just say, well, it's blue, but we can't say it's cobalt blue, or a baby blue, or a navy blue, or any of the million crayon colors of blue. But we can start. We can start with some baselines. We're building from, we're building up. Wow, this has been fun. I don't know what's going to be on next week. I didn't even know what was going to be on this week, but probably an update on the mask. That's about a month or two out. That's at least 2 months from being licensed. So I wonder how storm chasers work, because they use the same stuff, man. It's radar. It doesn't matter if it's marine radar, wherever the hell you got it from. FCC wants to know about it. So they would have to, these storm chaser guys, they have to go to the same place I showed you, fill out question 7 with all the radars, and then they don't really have a GPS position because they're going from state to state to state to state. So how does that work? I don't know, man. Maybe I should contact some of these storm chasers and see how they roll their shit. I'm out here doing my experiments in Phoenix, I'm about to apply and see if I can get a job with Jake's Skywatching group. Who knows? It's not like I'm quitting my day job, but we'll see what happens. And we got our local group. And if you have a group, remember, check out who you're working with. Uh, I'll give you this. I'll leave you with this. Bill Hamilton was a person who I was with the Phoenix Lights with. He gave me some advice that he got from Linda Moulton Howe. And she said, don't trust anybody unless they've been in this UFO field for 10 years. Not that you've known them for 10 years, but they got 10 years in. Like, I think Corbell's in the field, so yeah, trust Corbell. Trust me, bro. But you know what I mean? If this guy just woke up, fell off the turnip truck, and said, I'm going to be a ufologist, don't trust that guy. Because there's so many people that get pissed off and quit. Most of those people are going to do that. Let's see if they can make it 10 years in the field with their reputation intact. Because in 10 years, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, even Richard Doylan screws up sometimes. But you don't want to be like Jaime Maussan, fucked up case after case after case after case after case after case until that echoes into infinity. But she has a good point there. But that doesn't mean if you just join ufologists, you can't do nothing. You're just going to say you're not going to be trusted. You know, it's hard because there's so many, scars in the back of ufologists from the knives going in from other people. It happens all the time. All the time. I told Terry Hall that the divorce rate is like 50%. In ufology, it's 97%. Which means if you meet 10 people, 9 of them are all going to be pissed off at you, or you're going to be pissed off at 9 of them for some reason. That's how it works, man. I freaking don't know why, but it works that way. So that's Tom. I'm Tom King. That's 4K Skywatching for tonight, March 21st, 2025. Quarter of the year is already gone. No disclosure yet. It's trust me, bro, disclosure. All I know is I'm going to keep forging ahead and see what can happen. So thanks to everybody for watching. This has been a fun night. If you're partying, have a good Friday night. Say hello to your loved one, give them a hug, and tell your friends about the channel. And we'll see you next time on 4K Skywatching. I'm Tom King, and I am out.